Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Tim Laskus, and you're listening to The Tim Laskus Show, episode 49. How many of you out there may have a podcast already? Hey, raise your hands. If you do, you probably need some tips on where to go to get your logo, where to get that cool mic flag, which I have. If you've seen my Instagram photos, I've got it right on top of my microphone, my Howl PR40 there. It looks awesome. Where to go and get all kinds of stuff that's going to help you with your podcasting, or even maybe you're interested in getting a free audiobook at Audible. I've got that at timlaskus.com on the resources page. Also, if you haven't launched a podcast and you're thinking of doing it, I have a free how to launch a podcast cheat sheet that's on my website at timlaskus.com. So if you're interested in the cheat sheet, go to timlaskus.com on the homepage. You'll see it there. If you're interested in some of the different affiliate sponsors that I have, go to timlaskus.com on the resources page, and you'll find them listed for you, and you'll get discounts if you use my affiliate links. Now, on to today's guest, who is Kelly Roach. Kelly is a former NFL cheerleader who is now a business mogul. She is an entrepreneur on fire, so to speak. She offers coaching programs, mastermind groups, online courses, private consulting to individuals and organizations. She's also a paid speaker, and she's a podcast host of a really cool show called Unstoppable Success Radio. So you got to listen up, because she's bringing great value today. So keep running, keep jogging, don't fall off that treadmill. Enjoy.
The Tim Laskus Show, in search of entrepreneurial gold. Tim digs deep into the minds of his guests, entertaining, down to earth, and informative. Now, here's your host, Tim Laskus.
Welcome, everyone. Today's featured guest is Kelly Roach. Kelly, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, Tim.
Hey, it's a pleasure to have you take part of your day to spend with me. And you were telling me that you get a lot of exercise by chasing your child around the yard. What's that all about?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think one of the main reasons for me that I even started my business was to focus more on family and to be able to build a lifestyle that really encompassed what I wanted my everyday life to look like. And for me right now, having a 3-year-old daughter, Madison, it's really all about family. You know, we're in that stage of life, and I know you are too, Tim, where for us, we're just enjoying every moment, experiencing every new thing through the eyes of our daughter. And so being present and being actively involved and engaged in every area of her life is the most fun, most exciting thing I've ever experienced. And I've done a lot of fun, exciting things, but it's totally new and totally different, you know, when it's around building a family. So that's huge for me, is having the time and the energy to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you know, these moments that they have, especially as a 3-year-old, you know, if you miss those moments, you never get them back. And it's much more important than anything else. And I'll tell you, I'm probably going to be in for a treat when my son becomes an adolescent, because he's already kind of the boss of the family. I call him baby boss, and he laughs. So
that's fun. And it is so true, though. They change so fast that if you're not paying attention or you're not present, like really present, not physically, but mentally present, you literally miss an entire stage of their development. And, you know, everything that they learn and that they go through and grow through is shaping them. And really the interesting thing is, like they say, like your personality and your being is pretty much shaped in your first few years of life. So this is it. Like this is the moment. This is the time.
No, I absolutely. As a psychologist, you know, I understand the stages of development, and I am so worried I'm going to screw up something, because I think I know too much about development. So it makes me a little bit over anxious instead of just being just kind of natural. So I always have to remind myself of that. But now tell the listeners a little bit about yourself professionally, and what are you currently working on, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a business growth strategist and a peak performance coach. And what that means is companies and entrepreneurs and individuals hire me to go further, faster in accomplishing their goals. And usually that's in the form of getting more clients, raising their prices, growing faster, and building out a team to support them so that they can get out of the rat race and actually enjoy the fruits of their labor, whether it's managing a big team internally in a corporate corporation or whether it is starting and growing their own freedom-based business. But my whole focus in terms of all of the content that I create, the company that I run, the programs and courses that I sell is really helping people create financial freedom, but to do it in such a way that they're really focused on building a life for themselves. My whole reason for starting my business was because I climbed the corporate ladder. I got promoted 7 times in 8 years, and I realized I became a prisoner to my own success because there's no time or energy or space in my life for anything besides work. And so, I really decided to dedicate my life to helping people to bring together freedom, fulfillment, and financial abundance. And it just so happens that business is the vehicle through which I help people to do that.
Now, you have quite a unique background as a cheerleader for the NFL. You did that for how many years?
I did
were
that
you
for
in
2 years. So I did that for
Uh-huh.
2 years while I was in college. And then I went on and I interned with them in the communications and marketing department. And then I was a game day host at training camp. And then from there, I went into my Fortune 500 career.
Yeah, and so as an executive in a Fortune 500 company, what were you doing there? What was your experience like?
Yeah, definitely. It was amazing. It was amazing. I learned business inside out, frontwards, backwards, upside down. I learned to become a great leader and a manager and coach. And essentially, I was teaching and training people how to sell. My whole responsibility was to drive profitability and growth across 17 different branches up and down the East Coast. As I progressed up through the organization, obviously, I started in an entry-level sales position myself. And then because of those results and because of the records I was breaking there, I then moved into management, and then from there just kept stacking. But really everything that I did in my corporate career prepared me and helped me to refine the skills that I now use to help people to achieve their business goals today. So I was very lucky in that experience very much so prepared me and set me up for success and allowed me to develop the skills that were going to be necessary to run my own business. And that's what my passion is. It wasn't like I was like, oh, well, I'm good at this, let me go do it. Like, I have a huge passion for problem solving in business and helping people develop systems and structure and be able to create predictable results. So that's a lot of fun for me.
Now, I assume that your career in the Fortune 500 company came right after you were in the NFL as a cheerleader, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have any obstacles or anything that kind of you felt either as a woman or maybe even as, being a former cheerleader that you really didn't feel like you were getting the respect you deserved? Did you have anything that really kind of bothered you trying to get through a Fortune 500 company and get to that kind of break through that glass ceiling?
Yeah, the hardest thing was as I moved up through the company, I had started, when I was just 22 years old, and I ended up managing people that were my parents' age by the time I was like 23. And so the most difficult part about my corporate career was as I kept taking on new areas, new districts, new regions, new territories, and more people, I really had to prove myself over and over and over again. They had to see, they're like, what is this young kid, think she's doing? She's going to come in here and tell me, I've been doing this for 20 years. And so you have to go through that process of proving yourself over and over again, walking the talk, living what you preach, being what you're asking other people to be, and being a role model in every single area, every step of the way, because as you're taking on new team members and leadership roles, especially if you're really young and managing people that have significantly more years of experience than you do, you have to really bust through the head trash that's going on for them, right? Which is like,
Yes.
You don't have anything to offer me. You don't have anything to tell me that I don't already know, which is never the case, right? I had a great lesson I learned from my daughter at the playground the other day. She's 3 and she's already teaching me. So, we're never too old. We're never too young. But it's always about mindset. And so for me, that was definitely the biggest challenge. But, I knew I was laser being focused on my goal. I knew I wanted to get promoted up through the organization as fast as I could. I knew I wanted to gain a lot of experience managing a big team. I knew I wanted to have, this background built up before I decided where I was going to go next. And so I kind of just, pushed through it. I had that bull, mentality, I guess.
So it sounded like for you, it was more of kind of an age kind of thing more than anything else, being younger than many of the people that you were working with and then having to gain that respect. But it sounds like that you exuded this level of confidence, which came from you had a very clear focus of where you were going.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. I find that with a lot of entrepreneurs and individuals that want to see big changes and big breakthroughs in their life, that the lack of clarity creates inaction and indecision. And so, if you can focus on getting clear on exactly what you want, and then similarly, getting clear on exactly what it is that's going to get you there, and then focus on just the few things that are going to actually create forward movement towards that, you're going to have a great life, and you're going to separate yourself from the pack, and you're going to be able to have a level of success that most people only dream of. The problem is most people have these big, big dreams, big, big goals. They don't take the time to break them down effectively. They don't get clear on what it's going to take to get there. And then they don't have the discipline to stay focused on doing the same things, the core things that are really going to make the difference, versus being very, very busy in hundreds of different things, most of which actually don't impact your success.
So they get too busy and wrapped up in things that really just don't matter.
Absolutely.
Now, what is your experience in working with clients and getting over fear?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the number one reason for most of my clients achieving the great success that they have. And I mean, I've helped people go from struggling for years without even getting their first client to getting 5 clients within 1 month of working with me. I've helped people add over $1 million in growth in a single year. So I've kind of seen the gamut of what an entrepreneur is capable of when they get focused, they push through their fear, and they take action. And what I would say is, the number one fear that people have is that fear of rejection. Because the number one reason why businesses fail is a lack of cash flow. Why does lack of cash flow happen? Because there isn't effective sales and marketing. Why isn't the effective sales and marketing happening? Because most people are fearful of rejection. They don't feel comfortable doing self-promotion. They don't feel comfortable approaching a cold lead. They don't know how to put themselves out there in a compelling way that's going to allow them to touch people and inspire people to say yes and to sign up to pay for their product, their program, their service, whatever it is.
So some of the work that you do with your clients is actually teaching them some of the skills and actually, selling, working with clients and just kind of some of those basic skills in setting up their business, which kind of helps them get over the fear. Is that kind of the approach you take, or do you kind of go right into the mindset and say, hey, what's going on? Why are you not taking steps? You seem to understand what's going on.
Yep. It's both, right? So it's two sides of the same coin. On one side, there's the mental, and on the other side, there's the physical. You can have the best mindset in the world, but if you don't take action, you won't get any results. You can take lots of action, but have the wrong mindset and get no results. So for me, I work on both. It's the whole person, because I have to get people mentally tough enough to become the person they need to be to achieve the goals they want to achieve. That's number one. But then number two, I have to teach them the skills and give them the actual tactical roadmap, the strategies, and the step-by-step on how to take action on the right things that they need to take action on in order to achieve their goals. So for example, in the Unstoppable Entrepreneur Program, which is my flagship, that's a 12-month business building program. It has over 100 audio and video trainings, swipe files, cheat sheets, step-by-step tutorials, tech trainings, everything you can think of. But the very first set of modules is all on mindset. Because even though the people are coming because they need tactical strategy and they need us to break down the how, most people have to first get over what's going on in their head before they can actually take action and see results on the what.
Very powerful. Now, something you had mentioned earlier about having people increase their prices. What is that all about? Are people kind of stuck, maybe either just giving away their stuff free or having their prices so low? What is it that people what is the mental block that people have with asking for more money for their product or service?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's huge. It's actually one of the first things that I do with almost every client that comes into one of my products or programs is really train them and teach them how they can double their prices. And everyone comes in with, of course, the same excuses and stories. My clients will leave. No one will pay that. I'm struggling to close sales as it is, da 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 da. It's the same story every single time. And those that actually listen and take action on what we teach come back every single time and say, I got no resistance. I can't believe how much more money I'm making. I can't believe that people are saying yes to this and I'm closing more sales. And why is that? So there's a whole dynamic that happens here with pricing, and it's too much to even cover on in this conversation today. But I'll speak to just a couple elements of that. So number one, your pricing is your positioning. Right? So you are either positioned as a premium service provider in your market, or you're positioned as one of the low level, low quality providers in your market. And that's determined by the price that you charge. When someone sees a higher price product or service, they automatically assume that's a higher caliber product or service because of that price. So that's your positioning. That's what people think of you. That's the category that they place you in. And that's how experienced or inexperienced they see you as being in the business that you're in. But the other dynamic of pricing, Tim, is that when you undercharge, it actually is one of the biggest reasons for failure. And that is because when you undercharge in your business, you are so busy serving so many clients that are not actually paying enough for you to grow. They're just paying enough for you to get by, that you're stuck down in this downward cycle, servicing these people that aren't actually moving you forward, that there's no time for you to be outward proactively marketing and proactively gaining those premium high paying clients that are then going to allow you to move the business forward and achieve growth and put money in your pocket. So it's like there's this other thing that's happening, this other dynamic where it's like this self-perpetuating cycle of keeping you stuck and burn out in your business.
So pricing yourself too low actually holds you down and keeps you from being successful and being able to grow your business. And then it also, what you're saying is it kind of puts you in a category of, well, you're kind of a mediocre kind of product or service because your price point pretty much says that. And then the other thing is that it's all, thinking about raising your prices. You many times people have this false idea that, oh, well, no one will ever pay that. They'll never pay that. That's more than what most people will pay. But they will be surprised that really the only reason people aren't paying it is because they haven't raised their prices. They haven't checked it out because of their own limitations and kind of sense of, oh, I could never do that.
Exactly. And again, it comes back to that mindset. It comes back to that head trash. And that's why it's so important to be working on yourself. If you know and lock into how worthy you are and how much value you add and the difference that you are making or can make in the world, and you really get clear on that, then you will understand that it's like your sworn duty to be profitable so that you can help more people and make a bigger impact. Because when you don't charge a price that aligns with your worthiness, your impact, the way that you're helping people, then it prevents you from serving more people because you can't. Right?
Yeah.
Because all your time is taken with people that don't value what you do and aren't willing to pay a price that your product or service demands. So it's just such an important thing. And I tell my team all the time, we do our sales calls throughout the week and I'm coaching my own internal staff. And, I say to them all the time, the first and most important element of becoming a champion, becoming world-class at anything that you do is working on yourself every single day. People say to me all the time, like, oh, you're so upbeat, you're so positive, you're so optimistic all the time, you're always smiling, you're always happy. I'm like, whoa, I'm like, tap the brakes. I wake up every day and the first thing that I do every single day is work on myself. It's not just a natural state of being, it's a commitment to growth. It's a commitment to becoming better. It's a commitment to becoming more.
Yeah. I have one question. There may be listeners out there who have a coaching service, or, they're talking with clients and maybe they have, maybe a 30-minute amount that they charge. If, okay, you want to talk to me for 30 minutes or an hour, it's going to be $50 or $60. And what would you say to those people who are kind of stuck in looking at, pricing their service based on time versus value? Because I think when people get stuck on trying to price their service on time, it really holds them down versus looking at it from what kind of value are you providing?
Yeah. So that's the thing that's so important, right? Is, you have to be able to communicate your value. You have to be able to, some of the most important elements of becoming freedom based, to becoming financially abundant and being able to choose how you use your time, is setting up recurring revenue. It's making the sale once and getting paid over and over again. So it's structuring your offerings so that once a client comes into your community, that you made that sale and they're going to continue to pay you month after month after month. Because if every month you pick your head up and say, okay, I'm starting at 0 for the month, I have to build back up to where I was the month before, that's not fun. That's not enjoyable for anyone. So you really have to break out of that hourly rate, and you really have to look at providing a recurring product, a recurring service, something that people are going to sign up for. You're going to make the sale once and they're going to be your client for 6 months, 12 months, or even more.
Love that. When did you realize that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, Kelly? I mean, it sounds like, you really understand business and working with clients. And have you always had this drive of being an entrepreneur?
It's interesting. I didn't. I really didn't. I didn't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to have a lot of success. I knew I wanted to challenge myself constantly. I knew I wanted to make a lot of money and be wealthy, but I didn't know what that was going to look like or how that would play out for me. I came from a background where I struggled so bad. My family was super poor, and everything in my house, every decision that was made was always about money. So for me, I was like, my life will not be that, right? And so there was a huge drive to move in a different direction and get on a different path and really hold myself accountable for my life looking how I wanted it to look. And so that was kind of where the drive for success came from. But I actually didn't realize I wanted to be an entrepreneur until I was pretty high up in my Fortune 500. Because at that point, I realized, I could keep having more success here and I could literally become the CEO of this company, and I still would be completely unhappy because I would be making a lot of money, but I would have no time. And I realized that for me personally, happiness came down to, like I said at the beginning of the interview, me being able to chase my daughter around in her electric car as she drives around our yard outside, right? So it was just a personal set of values. And I got to a point where I realized, okay, in order for me to bring my own personal value system together, I have to go out and create what I want. I can't just rely on a company to make my dream life for me. No, I have to go out and take accountability to create that for myself. And it was at that point that I said, I need to take total ownership here and go design a company around this, go create my own life, right?
Yeah, and nobody's going to take care of you except for you. And you could offer your time and pretty much your life and give it up to a company and continue to grow them. Or you could take your skill set and go out and make a life for you and live the life that you want, which is, it sounds like, you made that decision, pretty quickly and said, I've got some skills that I've been helping this company. Now I'm going to help myself. And that's powerful. Now let's move quickly into kind of a dig round, and I give you 3 quick questions, and I want you to kind of give me some quick responses. Kelly, what inspires you daily?
3 things, a personal family goal, a financial goal in the business, and then a philanthropy goal. So there's 3 key things that inspire me. One is making a great life for my family, being the best wife and the best mom I can possibly be, and living, every day on our own terms. From a business standpoint, everything that I do is tied back to my mission of helping 1 million people become financially free. So every course, product, program, podcast, video, audio, everything that I do, I want to help people to create financial freedom for themselves and their families. And then thirdly, to do philanthropy work in the world that raises up and lifts up people that can't lift themselves up, which is what we're doing with the Campaign for Humanity.
Wow, love that. Now the next one is, who impresses you as a business leader?
Wow. A lot of different people. I mean, I have so many people that I've pulled different things from over the years that I've learned from, whether it was their books, their audios, their seminars. Definitely, of course, Tony Robbins is like my number one business idol, business inspiration, you might call it. And really, that he has always inspired me to believe in myself and to tap into my highest potential and to go out in the world and be the best I could possibly be.
Yeah, for sure. Tony Robbins is wonderful. Would you choose street smarts or book smarts if you had to have just one?
1,000% street smarts. 1,000%.
All right. Throw the books out, burn them.
And I'm a reader. I try to read 30 minutes a day, but I was a B student. I worked my tail off in school. I was never like a top A, the best, highest in the class, but I've done really well for myself. And I think it's because I use common sense. And I think as a society, we don't place enough value on good old fashioned common sense. I'd love to see a lot more of that. It's definitely the number one thing I want to instill in my daughter is use your brain, think for yourself.
I agree 100%. Now, since you've been doing all this great work with clients, and I mean, you're doing so many things, writing books, you get a show and just coaching and everything, I'm sure there's been a moment where you were like, I don't know if I can take it anymore. Can you share with the listeners a moment where you mentally were just so drained, and how did you get yourself out of it?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think we go through that all the time. I mean, I always say, as an entrepreneur, every day is a roller coaster of high highs and low lows. For me, I don't think there's one situation where it was like, oh my God, I can't do it anymore. But definitely I've had launches that have failed. I've had webinars that no one's shown up for. I've had big projects that I've worked on for months and months that totally flopped. I think that one of the hardest things for me as an entrepreneur was the realization that the only way you can succeed as an entrepreneur is by being willing to fail. And so I have failed thousands and thousands of times, and I'm sure I'll fail thousands of more times. And I've realized that the only way that you can really get on a path to success is working through 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 or 18 or 35 variations of something until you nail what really, really works. And so I am proud to say that I've been able to push through that, which has been probably the hardest thing for me, coming from a corporate career where you understand and can control your results and are so on top of everything. The entrepreneurial playground is nothing like that. You can only learn by doing, and it's really everything changes. Everything changes every day. So I think it's the everyday ups and downs, and it's remembering your why, and it's learning to really develop that mental toughness so that you can bounce back quickly when something doesn't go your way, and realize that that's just an indicator that's pointing you to refine or adjust your approach so that you can find the right path that's actually going to lead you to the result you want.
Well, it sounds like you never internalized failure as something that was related to you, that you were a failure if people didn't show up to your webinars or whatever it might be, is that you looked at it as this is just part of the process. This is part of the learning process, but it has nothing to do with me specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I talk about this all the time, and I'm so glad that you brought this up, Tim, because I think this is such an important thing for your listeners to hear. If you were given a dream and a goal in your heart of hearts, and you feel driven deep down in your gut to do something, to be something, to pursue a certain path, you were given that dream for a reason. And so if you have failure along the way, if you struggle along the way, if you have lots of obstacles holding you back, if there's lots of things standing in your way that would be reasons why that won't or couldn't happen, you have to know that you were given that dream for a reason. You were intended to achieve it. You were intended to pursue it. And that each of those things along the way are your opportunities to grow and to learn and to become more, so that you can then go out and teach and help other people that will inevitably go through the same thing you are. I always say, look at all of your heroes, and all of your heroes have these incredible stories of overcoming these massive adversities and have this extraordinary, comeback story of doing something that was, unpredictable or magical, right? And I always say, why do you think that every person that you look up to has that magical story to tell? Because they're you, because they're the few people that went through exactly what you're going through, but instead of quitting, they kept going. And so every one of those things that you're going through are part of your story that's stacking up, that becomes part of your hero's journey that then people will read about and learn from when you finally make it to where you're going. And I think that is such an important mindset to have on your entrepreneurial journey, on your career journey, your relationship, parenting, whatever it is that your big goal and dream that you're pursuing in life is.
Oh, yes. And to get rid of that false idea that people who are successful have never failed or they didn't struggle. And that's just part of the journey. And speaking of journey, what's been your most fulfilling moment as an entrepreneur?
Oh, wow. So twofold, two things. Number one is the success stories from my clients. And when you're specifically coaching entrepreneurs and you have people tell you, this year is the first year I could buy Christmas presents with cash instead of a credit card. Or you have someone tell you, I have never been able to enroll my kids in dance or, extracurricular sports that were expensive because we didn't have the money and now we do. Or I was able to pay for my car in cash or my house or whatever. For me, the fulfillment is in the results that are impacting people's lives and impacting their families, because that's why I got into this. I got into this to help people become financially free and to be able to be the best parent they could possibly be, or to be the best spouse they could be, or to have that sense of fulfillment that they've never been able to achieve before. So on one side, it's those client success stories. On the other side, it's the ability to do things like pay for surgery through Operation Smile, making donations to bring clean drinking water to people around the world, helping vets get back on their feet. These are the donations that we make every single month through our campaign for humanity. So it's the ability to focus on something bigger than yourself, focus on something beyond just profitability, on impact and significance and partnership with our greater human family.
Kelly, your answer really summed up who you are, and I hope the listeners picked up on it, is you did not focus on you making money, but your focus was on helping others, giving value, giving back, helping society. And that says everything about you right there of you as a person, as a business person. And I think that is what we need in business today is people who have that sense of morals and are looking after other people, giving back. And so that was a wonderful answer. And unfortunately, we've ran out of time. But before we go, Kelly, I want you to tell the listeners where they can find you online, your website, your book, and on social media. Where are you?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, Unstoppable Success Radio is definitely the place to catch me. I'm there 3 times a week. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, and like 17 other platforms. So definitely check out Unstoppable Success Radio if you're looking for inspiration, motivation, tools, and strategies to grow your business, to achieve your goals, to grow and build a life of both significance, fulfillment, impact, and financial abundance. So that would be the number one place. My website is kellyroachcoaching.com. And on my website, I have 9 different opt-ins for all different audio and video trainings, all about helping you to achieve your goals. So definitely head over there and pick out something that speaks to you and get started. And of course, I'm all over the internet, just like, you guys all are. So Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff, tweet me, say hello, email me, whatever the case. I would love to hear from any of the listeners of the show today.
Well, thank you very much, Kelly, for your time. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to watching you as you continue on your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a great conversation, and I really enjoyed being here. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Want more entrepreneurial tips? Go to timlaskus.com.